Hello, world. Brian here again. And I would like to start off by saying I'm a day late here. Yesterday was Christmas. So I want to say, and of course, Sabbath as well. So happy Sabbath and Merry Christmas for yesterday. So, anyway, welcome to my ministry. Always remember God in your life, give Him the glory in everything, keep Him in our thoughts right where he belongs, always, in our hearts, our minds, and our souls. So this week I'm going to do something a little different. I was going to go into the third commandment this week, but I think I'm going to forego that for maybe a week or two. This week I want to talk about Christmas. I'm going to run through some history with regard to Christmas, Santa Claus, some of the Christmas traditions like the Christmas tree, decorations, gift giving, wreaths, mistletoe, the Yule log, things like that. So I want to start with Christmas itself. As it turns out, most Christmas traditions have their roots in ancient Roman customs and religion. So basically pagan customs. I did a lot of study on this. I've really gone through a lot of different websites and things like that I could, just going back to see what I could find on the origins of Christmas. I honestly could not find anything that that actually proved that there were any parts of Christianity whatsoever tied into Christmas. And I'll get more into that here in a second. But anyway, I'm not too sure about the truth of this particular item, but I do remember reading once that Christmas actually had its origins going back to the Roman Colosseum and the times when they would feed Christians to the lions and burn Christians at the stake for entertainment. And that Christmas actually went back to those times. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I do remember reading that once. However, the earliest reference of Christmas that I found recently, actually, as far as it being on December 25th, that is the date for Christmas, was in the 2nd century A.D. It's thought to be more or less derived from the Roman Saturnalia festival, which marked the winter solstice or the return of the sun, and it honored the Roman god Saturn, who is the god of sowing. Sowing, dealing with plants and seeds, that sort of thing. Anyway, it was known to be a rather rowdy festival, which actually was condemned by the early Christian church. The Roman Emperor Justinian made Christmas a civic holiday in the year 529 AD. So in medieval times, Christmas actually basically became a time of consumption and revelry. So it's kind of like party on, Garth, in medieval times. Some scholars actually believe that Christmas traditions, like the tree and some of those things, actually go back as far as ancient Egyptian times and even Babylonian times. So it was really hundreds of years after the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus that Christmas was mandated throughout the Roman Empire as a festival celebrating the birth of Jesus. So then, there are many people who say that that Christmas is actually celebrating and honoring the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ, at Christmas time. Is this actually true, though? I can tell you that I found nothing that actually corroborates that whatsoever. Nothing. If we turn to the scriptures for that answer, we can find in Matthew chapter 15, verse 9, Jesus himself said, "But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines and commandments of men." And in Mark chapter 7, verse 9, he states, "Full well you reject the commandment of God, that you may keep your own tradition." So basically, there's nowhere in the Bible that actually supports Christmas as a biblical tradition or as a tradition set up by God. This is a man-made tradition entirely. Even the tree, the whole thing. In fact, in Jeremiah excuse me, in Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 2 through 5, it states, "Thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are in vain. For one cuts a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it not move. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good." So this description, actually, to me anyway, sounds an awful lot like our modern day concept of the Christmas tree. So how about Christmas in relation to the birth of Jesus? Any correlation there? I wasn't able to find any. Nothing. Most religious scholars nowadays believe that he would have been actually born sometime between the spring and the fall of the year, nowhere near December, and in particular December 25th. So that's pretty much general consensus nowadays that he was not born at this time. I actually watched one video that you might be interested in seeing from a guy named Jonathan Cahn, C-H-A-N, I'm sorry, C-A-H-N, yeah, I did say that, who is actually considered to be a modern-day Jewish prophet, who makes really a very compelling argument that Jesus would have been born on the Jewish calendar date of 1 Nisan, which is the beginning of their new year, the Jewish New Year. I think I'm saying that right, N-I-S-A-N, Nisan. Anyway, it corresponds to March 20th on our Gregorian calendars in the year 6 BC. Either way, we certainly know that Jesus was not born on December 25th, not anywhere even close to that date. So it is documented, however, that the Roman festival of Saturnalia that I mentioned earlier began on December 17th, and it was a time of merrymaking, exchanging gifts, that sort of thing. So what about Santa Claus now? He's probably most closely associated with the real-life personage of Saint Nicholas, who was actually a real person, a real Greek bishop from a place called Myra, which is nowadays located in modern-day Turkey, somewhere. Not sure exactly where in Turkey, but in Turkey. He supposedly sported white hair and a beard, but he was definitely not an obese elf. So he was noted, however, for his charitable nature, his giving of gifts to children, that sort of thing. He actually died on December 6th of the year 343 AD, and his bones were moved to a place called Bari, B-A-R-I, in Italy in the year 1087, and a basilica was built to house those bones. So in a sense, he was kind of deified by the people there. They kind of did that. And there are actually pilgrimages to this day where people go to see his bones. Anyway, moving on to our modern day Santa Claus, the one that we more closely know, he was actually mostly derived from the poem that was written by a guy named Clement Clark Moore titled A Visit from St. Nicholas, more commonly known by most of us as The Night Before Christmas. So in the year 1931, the Coca-Cola Company commissioned a guy named Haddon Sundblom from Michigan to illustrate the image of Santa Claus for marketing purposes. Mr. Sundblom turned to that same poem, Night Before Christmas, for guidance and based his Santa character on the description of him from that poem. So since then, Santa has gone through a number of incarnations to get to the jolly old elf we know and love today. I even read, though I can't confirm this, that the red in Santa's suit is the same color and hue as Coca-Cola Red. Now, this was something I read quite some time ago, that Mr. Sundblom had actually originally designed Santa's suit as a dark green color. And Coca-Cola came back and said, no, we want it to be Coca-Cola Red, and that to this day it's the same hue as you see on the can of Coca-Cola. Is that true? It's something I read. I don't really know. I thought it was kind of interesting though. So, what about other Christmas traditions? Exchanging of gifts, for instance. Just how Christian is this tradition? In reality, it's really not at all. There is nothing in the Bible that supports this as a tradition handed down to us from God. So why designate a specific day for this when we could, realistically, we can give gifts to friends and loved ones anytime during the year, anytime we want. Why does it require a specific day? If you watch closely about what's going on around you, particularly right getting up close to Christmas, when it's getting right close to the date, you might, as I do, find it to be a bit repulsive. I mean, people who wait till the last minute to run out and buy gifts for family at the very last minute like that, it seems to be mostly out of obligation or duty more than love and devotion or a desire to make others happy. You can tell, you get around that many people, you're not finding the gifts that you want because they've already been picked through it by this time. Doing the last minute shopping thing, people are angry. They're not happy about what they're doing. It's not really this so-called spirit of Christmas. It's you don't see it. All the commercials you see are basically built on these kinds of things, which are really kind of lies, really, when the reality is simply nothing more, as far as they are concerned, nothing more than marketing for retailers wanting to turn a profit. That's really all that is. So how about the wise men who gave gifts to the baby Jesus? What about these guys? Can this be correlated to the giving of gifts at Christmas time? Well, to begin with, if they were giving it to him on his birthday, they were a shade late. Okay, in fact, they were quite late. There are actually some religious scholars who really don't believe that to be the case at all, and that these men actually came to Jerusalem to be in the presence of the newborn King of the Jews. That's why they were there. And even today, it's common practice that when coming into the presence of royalty or a king or a world leader like that, to bring a gift. Even now it's like that. Well, these magi were from the east, and where they came from, it would have never even been considered, to be coming into the presence of a king, any king, without presenting a gift. So it's a lot of scholars actually believe that was the case. They weren't just giving gifts for Jesus' birthday. They were bringing gifts to a king. A big difference there as to how that's handled and what kind of traditions are in place for that kind of thing. So then, how about the Christmas tree? So the modern day Christmas tree, as we know it, originated from the Germans, who in turn got the idea from the Romans, who again in turn got the idea from the Babylonians and the Egyptians. So for the Druids, the oak was sacred. For the Egyptians, it was the palm. And for the Romans, it was the fir tree or the pine tree, which they would decorate with berries during the Saturnalia festival. We're back to Saturnalia again. This is totally a pagan tradition. And as noted earlier from the passage in Jeremiah, not okay with God. He did not see that as being something okay. So then how about wreaths? Yule logs, mistletoe, that sort of thing. Wreaths were generally made from holly, which have both male and female varieties. Wreaths were a pre-Christian pagan custom where people would bring them to decorate pagan houses of worship. European pagans would offer them to the fairy people of the forest for refuge from harsh winters. And then again, during Saturnalia, people would exchange holly branches as tokens of friendship. So the female holly plants can only produce berries when the male plants pollinate them. So it's pretty easy to see how then holly found its way into pagan rituals of friendship and fertility. So how about kissing under the mistletoe? Seems innocent enough, right? Except that it was once used as the beginning point of many drunken pagan orgies. For real. This innocent kissing typically occurred at the beginning of the Saturnalia festivals. We keep coming back to Saturnalia, which unfortunately really is, from everything that I've been able to find, is the precursor to Christmas as we know it. So mistletoe was actually considered to have special healing powers for those who reveled under it. Mistletoe is actually a parasitic plant that attaches itself to oak trees. Druids used to use it on animals to make them more fertile. Both it and holly berries were thought to be sacred to the sun god. Yule logs, how about that? They actually started out being known as sun logs, which later became known as Yule logs. The word Yule meaning wheel, which was also known to be a representation of the sun. So, this all comes back to the sun god, back to pagan rituals and that sort of thing. So, to conclude this episode, I can honestly, personally find nothing at all religious about the Christmas season. Nothing. And I looked through a lot of stuff, but I really found nothing that supports it. And pretty much every tradition that I was able to find associated with Christmas was born in paganism and somehow along the way got incorporated into or migrated into being part of a religious holiday that in reality is not the least bit religious. So it has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus, is not sanctioned, condoned, or in any way even mentioned in the Bible. And in fact, biblical verse warns against these kind of holidays and traditions of men. So I personally see no reason we can't get gifts for one another anytime we might feel like it during the year. We shouldn't require a special day for it. That Christmas spirit that everyone talks about, at least in my opinion, is something that we should harbor within ourselves year-round and treat everyone good. Treat everyone the way we would want to be treated, right? The golden rule. Why don't we, sport that year-round? That just makes sense. Goodwill towards men is something that should be an everyday mantra, not just something we pull out once a year, mostly for our own benefit, so we can, give ourselves a pat on the back for having actually acted humanely for a whole day. So anyway, to sum things up, if you choose to support and celebrate Christmas, then I say to you, Merry Christmas. Have at. If this episode, on the other hand, has maybe opened your eyes a little bit and makes you want to look into it further, then I say to you, Merry every day. What I have gone over in this episode is truly only the tip of the iceberg. There is tons of information out there about this. So do your own research, and if you seek truth, I pray that you will find it. It is truly eye-opening when you find out that something that seems so innocent and pure is actually rooted so deeply in that which is exactly the opposite. Anyway, that completes today's topic. So I would like to mention in closing that, and I say this every week, just in case you decide you want to do something. I start off, I'll tell you that I've included a link to a PayPal page where if the Spirit moves you, you can donate whatever amount you like. Doesn't matter. I appreciate it because every little bit does help. If not, that's okay too. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe on YouTube. Mostly subscribe on YouTube so that you'll be notified whenever I post these videos. Sharing is actually the most important of all of these things because when you share these messages, others might get value from them as well, which is what I'm hoping. But the important thing being here is that the message in these episodes, the messages are always free to everyone, as they should be, and as God intended. His message is free. It's a free thing to everyone. And it's my goal to simply help those who might otherwise not find him to find their way to God. Not necessarily to the church, but to God. And there is a difference there. And that's the important thing to note. So the next episode, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'll either be going deeper into the Ten Commandments and breaking down the third commandment, or I'll be going into an episode about the new year and saving the third commandment for a couple of weeks from now. Either way, I'll give you my thoughts next episode on whatever it is I'm going to be talking about. And until then, be safe, be kind to others, love your family and your friends, love those close to you, love God and His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. And always, talk to God, pray, pray. Talk to God through Jesus Christ in prayer regularly. And while you're praying for yourself and your loved ones, remember to say something for those who are a little less fortunate as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have an absolutely splendid day. Merry Christmas and Happy Sabbath. And coming up will be a Happy New Year. Until then, have a great day. Bye-bye.